What's up, everybody? Welcome to Among the Fins. My name is Aaron, and today we're going over the worst albums of 2024, or you could say my least favorite albums of 2024. I say that way everybody is aware and reminded that this is just strictly based off of my opinion. If you guys enjoyed any of these albums, if they're in your top 10 favorite albums of the year, that's fine. I hope you enjoyed them. I'm glad people are still enjoying these releases. But if you do disagree with me, leave a comment below letting me know why. Let me know why you think that these albums are better, then they shouldn't be on this list. Or if you think something is worse that deserves to be on this list instead. Maybe I missed something throughout the year, an album or something that you think deserves to be on this list a little bit more than some of these, which I'm sure there's a lot of stuff out there that does deserve to be on this list. But anyways, let's jump into it. Let's talk about some of the worst albums of the year, and also let's talk about why. Coming in at number 5 of the worst albums of 2024, we have The Ghost Inside with Searching for Solace. This band is just a ghost of what they used to be. If you're familiar with The Ghost Inside, I grew up with these guys in a sense. Returners is one of my favorite albums, and it takes me back to my youth, and it was just so prominent when I was younger, and it was just such a good album. It's one of my favorite metalcore albums of all time, and if you're familiar with any of their past stuff, most of these songs on this album probably left you feeling more confused than anything else. They're just super boring verses and their generic metalcore kind of poppy choruses. This band, it doesn't even sound like The Ghost Inside anymore. It feels like it's just a completely different band. Vocalist is kind of the same Virgil. I mean, he still does what he does, but musically it isn't there. They fit in with bands like Wage War now, and even the lyrics are laughable. Songs like Wrath, which have the line "shadow boxing with my own fists," it's just so cringy. Shadow boxing with my own fists. There's no creativity in that. It's just such a silly thing. It sounds like some angsty teenager would have written that after like getting in trouble in 11th grade or something. And now he has detention and he comes home and just starts punching at the wall, but not really hitting it. Because if he does, he's going to get in trouble. Like, it's just, it's just silly. It's silly stuff. It does have some decent moments, but honestly, it's separated by so many boring metalcore songs that fail to evoke any emotion or even be entertaining. A lot of times when metalcore is generic, it can at least sound good and be entertaining. But I feel like this album, it doesn't even do that. I gave this one a 4.6 out of 10. And after re-listening to it, I'd probably give it just closer to a 4, to be honest. Coming in at number 4 is Linkin Park, From Zero. I know this one is super controversial. It's either going to be on people's like top 10 favorite albums of the year, or it's going to be most people's like number 1 worst album. But I didn't feel like this album was all that bad. They're just another band that's fallen from where they used to be. And a lot of people are going to blame Emily, the new vocalist, which I don't even come close to blaming her. In order to really understand what's wrong with this band now, you got to search so much deeper. The music and the lyrics are all completely empty. I stated in my full review that Linkin Park used to speak to a generation, and their music and their lyrics used to speak to listeners and used to hit you in the heart. Even if you've never listened to Linkin Park before and you listen to them now, like their older stuff, it speaks to you on another level. And even the atmosphere within the music itself really speaks to you, and it sucks you in and it grabs your attention, and you listen to the full album, and by the time you're done, you feel like you've ridden this giant wave of emotion, and you've really felt what Chester was saying to you while he's screaming, and you can feel his pain and his agony and his anger, and you can just feel all the emotions throughout the album. And not anymore. They don't do it anymore. This album completely lacks enthusiasm, and instead of you riding the wave of emotion of the music, it feels like they're just riding the wave of emotion of just releasing another album to make some more money. And it feels like they're just providing a fan service at this point. Like they're just doing it just because it's just what they do now, you know? This is what we do. We're Linkin Park. We just release music, and there's nothing really exciting about it. There's nothing really they're not saying anything, and most of the stuff that they're saying is pretty basic and vague. There's no like depth to their lyrics. There's no depth to the music. I can go on and on and on. I give this one a 4.8 out of 10, and I still stand by that. I feel like I feel like it's a 4.8 album. And as you can see, some of these albums placed in the order they're in, their ratings might be a little bit different. As you could tell, this one's higher than the Ghost Inside, but I just feel like this album was more disappointing all around. So I'm kind of basing it off of that, on what order these are going in. So just because the album is rated higher in my full review doesn't necessarily mean that I liked it more. Number 3 is Falling in Reverse, Popular Monster. Let's go, baby. I give this album a solid 1 out of 10 in my full review. But if I'm going to be completely honest, it has definitely grown on me. Laying aside whatever issues me or anybody else has with Ronnie, whatever stupid thing he has said on his social medias or any of that stuff, focusing solely on the music. My main issue with this is the lyrics. The lyrics feel like they're very corny, very low effort. The actual music itself does have some creativity thrown in there. There's some cool twists and turns and unexpected stuff to hear. I'm not really a huge fan of Ronnie's rapping either. I'm not saying he can't do it. He's not fast, whatever. I'm just saying, just because you can do something doesn't necessarily mean you should, just for the sake of doing it. I feel like he's a phenomenal vocalist and he shines a lot more in other areas. And I feel like the music just kind of works better. I feel like the rapping just makes it feel a lot more generic in that sense. I do honestly like the message found throughout this entire album, which to me feels like don't be afraid to go against the grain, and also don't let fear guide you. I feel like that's his main message throughout this, whether it be, you know, his own kind of prerogative of going against cancel culture and feeling like he can say whatever he wants to say. That's his own thing. But personally, to me, I feel like the message overall is not letting fear guide you, which I feel like is a huge, huge thing, especially nowadays where so many people are, you know, they let fear guide so much of their actions and the things they say and do. And I feel like that's a really cool message to have. The music throughout this, like I said, it's got some cool twists and turns, but it does feel a little too repetitive throughout each song. And another huge thing that I feel like is, it's just, it took 6 years for this album to come out. He started releasing the singles for this 6 years ago. And I don't feel like there was a whole lot of substance within this album. I feel like a really skilled or moderately skilled YouTuber, Jared Dines or someone like that, could have easily have produced this album within a week, if I'm going to be completely honest. But I don't know, maybe he wouldn't have been able to get the features that Ronnie did. But honestly, I don't know. I feel like it could have been done a lot sooner in 6 years. The hype just went downhill so fast when you found out that like 6 or 7 of these songs, I think, were released throughout 6 years before the actual album came out. So yeah, the hype just kind of died down too. If I was going to really give this a solid review again and give it a little bit more thoughtful, better rating, today I would give it a 3 out of 10. Coming in at number 2 of the worst albums of 2024, we have Wage War's Stigma. This album has some of the most pointless lyrics and just songs I have ever heard. The single that they released, Magnetic, sounds like Diet Nickelback, which just solidifies Wage War's prerogative to be a sellout band. The deep cuts on this are a little bit better, but I mean, just barely. They're just barely better. Like the Ravey song, Happy Hunting, is just a bunch of cliche phrases all strung together, which when I was listening to it, honestly, I found like it was kind of insulting just how bad this song was. The songwriting speaking for it is just completely basic. The music is as simple as it gets. There's no effort put into this album whatsoever. I don't understand why anybody likes this album. I can understand some arguments for the other albums on this list, but this one I just don't get it. There's so many other really generic bands that are just really bad, but they do this so much better. They sound so much better than this. It might be surprising, but I did actually enjoy Falling in Reverse more than this album. There's just like the insulting factor of this. I mean, Ronnie Radke is at least writing about something, but Wage War, I mean, there's just nothing to these songs. It's just like, let's just pump out some crap to make some money, get some people excited. We could, bring a lot of energy to these songs live and people get excited, but there's no substance to this whatsoever. You don't get anything from listening to this album. The outro is absolute garbage. I feel like this one could have easily have been number one if there wasn't something worse. I gave this album a 4.8 when it first came out and I reviewed it, but going back and listening to it again at the end of the year, I mean, I'm feeling like a 2.5 out of 10 on this one. And before we get to the number one album, we have some dishonorable mentions. We have Ghost Kid with Hollywood Suicide. It's a concept album that doesn't follow its concept whatsoever outside of just a few songs. It tries really hard to be edgy like everything else that's come out, and it just fails. It's more cringy than anything else. And then we also have As I Lay Dying, Through the Storms Ahead. Besides all the issues that Tim is having in his life, which are just astronomical, there's so many countless things that this guy is going through right now. A lot of it is his fault, but I feel like he should just give up. This album doesn't really bring anything new to As I Lay Dying, to metalcore, to Tim's legacy. It doesn't add anything new whatsoever. If anything released in this album has been more embarrassing to him and As I Lay Dying than anything else, with all the band members leaving, it would have been better if they just called it quits and just left it. You know, came back, released the last album, and just was done with it. It sounds like basically every As I Lay Dying song on repeat, but with some of the more boring, repetitive riffs and drum work I've ever heard. Also, Tim's vocals just aren't good on this. I don't know if it's the mix or if it's him. I've heard it's him live where he doesn't have that punch, isn't able to push through the mix, and it's very apparent on this as well. I know a lot of people still liked this album, which I totally get, honestly. I wouldn't say that this dishonorable mentions are number one to replace number one. I feel like they could just fit anywhere on this list, to be completely honest. And this one, As I Lay Dying, it was disappointing, but at the same time, it wasn't that surprising. And also, before I get to the last one, don't forget to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe. That way you don't miss out on any of my reviews coming out throughout the next year. I plan on doing a bunch of reviews because I'm going to have a lot more time on my hands. So yeah, definitely look forward to that. And coming in at number one of the worst albums of 2024 is 6 Feet Under, Killing for Revenge. I know a lot of people probably forgot about this band, and if you did, consider yourself lucky because it's been haunting me ever since I did a review on it. Normally the music and riffs are kind of redeeming, but in this album it feels like just rinse and repeat, which makes it feel a lot less inspired because I feel like the music really saves a lot of their past stuff. Even if the vocals aren't it, you can kind of enjoy the riff. You know, you can kind of get into the music. You're like, oh, that's a cool riff. It's a cool solo. I like that drum section. It's all, you know, there's something interesting within most of the songs. And the main issue with this band and this album is a very obvious one. It's the vocals and also the lyrics this time around. Chris Barnes he cannot sing. He has no presence. He has no punch. He can't do, his growls are so weak. Everything about him is just so bad. And it's hard to take this band seriously because of him. The song Hostility Against Mankind has one of the coolest doom influences that I've heard this band ever do. And you'll honestly just find yourself laughing throughout this entire song because the lyrics and the vocals are so bad, you'll completely forget about how cool that mid-tempo riff is. I don't think I need to explain myself much further on this one. I don't even remember what I gave this album. I had a hard time re-listening to it. I didn't even want to watch my review because it was bringing back bad memories. I would give this one a 1.5 out of 10. It was so tough. It just isn't it. I feel like this is a worthy number one of worst albums of the year. And that is it for my worst albums of 2024. Like I said before, if you disagree with my opinion, that's cool. Leave a comment below letting me know why. Let me know why you think that these albums are better than what I think and they don't deserve to be on this list. Or let me know if I missed something, because there's a good chance if there's a worse album out there, I just didn't get a chance to hear it. So leave a comment below letting me know if there's something worse out there that you think. And again, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. If you want to support me and my channel, you don't want to miss out on any of my future videos. Like I said, 2025, I'm going to be trying to turn out a lot more reviews this coming up year. Don't miss out on that. I'm pretty excited for it. A lot of, not really changes, but just a lot more content for sure. I'm going to have a lot more time. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to my channel, thank you for popping in and checking me out. If you've been coming in through a long time, thank you so much for constantly coming through. Thank you for a great year. It's been a lot of fun. And next week, I'm going to be releasing my top 10 favorite albums of the year. I do this one first. That way I can bring you guys down before I bring you up and end the year on a good note. And I just thank you guys so much. I hope you have a good rest of your day or night, whenever you have me watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time.